All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this Microsoft Reactor workshop this evening. My name is Erika, and I am the program manager at Microsoft Reactor Stockholm. Today, we are kicking off with a 12-episode event series around the world of Power BI in 80 days, a journey through the data platform. This series will provide a 360 overview of how to use Power BI to build impactful reports. Through hands-on workshops, you'll discover how to transfer and visualize your data and go from zero to hero just in 12 weeks. The first 4 episodes in this series are designed for beginners to help you get started with Power BI. The content will be more advanced, will be becoming more advanced as the course progresses through the Power BI journey. Before we begin, I would like to ask you to check in via the link above and use the event ID 14377. With that, you will also receive event resources that our host has prepared for you to be able to get the maximum out of this session. Thank you. The reactors, as you know, are community hubs where founders, developers, startups come to meet and learn from experts from Microsoft, its partners, and open source community. And it's also a home for the Microsoft for Startups program. With a diverse mix of hands-on workshops and community events, there is something for everybody. You can check out our events on meetup.com and join our upcoming sessions that is closest to your time zone or region. You can also save our website and check the calendar for updates. We are always adding more sessions on a regular basis. You can sign up for our newsletter, which goes out once a month with sessions that are within your region. And you can also follow us on Twitter, where we highlight some of our sessions. But before we begin, just a quick word about Microsoft's Code of Conduct. We all come from different backgrounds, so let's just be aware of each other, be friendly and patient. After all, we are all here to learn. But now, let's move on to the reason why we are all here today. In today's sessions, we are joined by Dennis Torres. Dennis is a data platform MVP and software architect living in Malta who loves SQL Server and software development and has more than 20 years of experience. He's an MCT, MCCS, a CE in data platforms and BI with more titles in software development. And he can also be found speaking in SQL Saturdays around Europe. In the first session in this 12-part series, Dennis will introduce the basics of Power BI and demonstrate what the platform is capable of. This session will focus on ETL and visualization features, providing a broad view of the Power BI capabilities. This session will run up for approximately 60 minutes with time for questions at the end. Now, let's welcome you, Dennis. Thank you for joining us today and hosting this session for us today. I think it is now time to hand over the word to you now. I will switch off my camera, but I will be here in the background listening if I am needed.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Could you share my slides, please?
Your slides.
Yeah.
Yes, there.
No,
Yes.
there. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this session, Introduction to Power BI, also known as Power BI from Zero to Hero. So, this is me. I'm a data platform MVP constant. I'm the leader of Malta Data Platform User Group. And you can see on the slide my contacts. Feel free to get in touch. It will be a pleasure to keep in touch and connect. So our agenda today. What's Power BI? What's self-service BI? The basics of Power BI and transforming data. How to transform data in Power BI. What's Power BI? before anyone asks, these pictures are real pictures from Malta. So maybe I convince someone to visit our country, our very small country. So what's Power BI? Solution for self-service BI. Power BI is a solution for self-service BI. Oh, good definition, but now I need to change the question. What's self-service BI? The idea is that business users may need data from many different sources, and it's impossible for these business users to rely only on the IT team to get this data for them. It's impossible. The IT team would be overwhelmed with requests to get this data. It's impossible. So these business users need to be able to get the data by themselves. That's what Power BI enables them to do. Using Power BI, they can get the data from many different sources from inside the company and from outside the company. Both kind of sources inside the company and sources outside the company are available to Power BI. No problem in relation to this. But the self-service BI can be better built if you use this structure, this self-service structure, over a data warehouse environment. Everyone nowadays keep talking about the BI, business intelligence, Power BI, visualization, let's analyze the data, machine learning, and so on. And many people forget the basics. And some new people get introduced to this environment even think, oh, this is something from the last century, it's not from nowadays. It is from nowadays. You will still need a good foundation. You will still need to build a data warehouse from your company. Every company needs a single source of truth. You can work with Power BI without this single source of truth. You can. The problem is, will the result be trustworthy? Will the information be trustworthy? Not so much. The single source of truth is what makes the result that Power BI will generate more trustworthy for the company. And then from this single source of truth, the business users can get their data from the data warehouse, play with this data, and combine this data with information from outside the company. They can combine the data with information from outside the company, no problem about that. They can combine the data. So, the basics about Power BI. Let's see some basic concepts about Power BI. What's Power BI? It's a software as a service solution. This means it's not really a software that you will install on your machine. Uh, the main Power BI environment is online, is on the Power BI portal. You will pay monthly for the use of the Power BI portal. It's a software as a service solution. Power BI Desktop is used to build dashboard. This one you install on your local machine. And many people confuse Power BI Desktop with Power BI itself. Many people get confused about that. But in fact, Power BI Desktop is only a tool to build the reports and publish the reports to the portal. And we have Power BI Report Services for on-premise solutions. It was released some years ago, but there are not many companies really using Power BI reporting services, because it's way better to keep up to date with Power BI without Power BI features using Power BI Desktop and the portal using as a software as a service solution. Power BI receives updates every month. Every month there are new features, new details included in the tool, new ways to do some new tricks on the tool every month. So it's important to use the software as a service solution. So this presentation is demo full. So let's go to demonstration and see what we can do with Power BI. I will start from the very beginning. And what's the very beginning? The very beginning is an Excel. An Excel used by business users inside the company, and these business users believe this Excel spreadsheet is okay to be analyzed, but you can see some problems on this spreadsheet, right? The business users grouped the data by country, but inserted the country name in the same column as the ID of the customer and left the row empty. The row for the country is empty. It's okay to visually analyze this, but to really extract this data, it becomes more difficult. So we will start analyzing this Excel spreadsheet in Power BI and see what we can do for this Excel spreadsheet in Power BI. So I have Power BI desktop already opened here. This is Power BI desktop. Then I'll get data from Excel workbook and point to that spreadsheet. Customers. So I can see here the spreadsheets, table 1, for example, is this one that I would like. I have the option lowered and I have the option transform data. I can lower directly and start to build some visualization over the data, or I can transform the data first before starting to make any visualization over the data. Let's make the data transformation first. Transform data. And here is the content of that Excel spreadsheet inside Power BI. Great. Let's change the name of the table, customers. While I will make some transformations here on this environment, you notice this side of the window, applied steps. Every transformation that I make over the data will appear here in the applied steps window. So every transformation will appear inside the applied steps window. Okay, but what transformations do we need to make? Like I said in the beginning, the spreadsheet is not very well to be analyzed. The countries are in the same column of the ID. They are all on the same column here. Country and ID. The only difference is that the lines, the rows with the country have null on the other fields. I need to use this information to create a new column. I need to create a new column containing the country. So I have here at the top an option called add column. But before going to add column, I would like just to highlight that here what I'm using is a tool called Power Query. Power Query is the tool responsible for the transformation of data for the ETL process inside Power BI, what we sometimes also call as a self-service ETL, because it can be made by the business user. The business users can use Power Query inside Power BI to make a self-service ETL and make data transformations and collect data from many different sources. So let's add a new column. And the point is, the content of this column is only the name of the countries that are on the rows with no values. The other rows are the ID, should not be used on the new column. So this is not a simple column. This is a column that we call, sorry, this is a column that we call conditional column. Let's include a conditional column. Let's call this column country. What's the condition of this column? Well, the name of the country is in the ID column. So if the other columns, customer, for example, equals null, then I want the column to have the value of another column, the value of the ID column. Country is on the ID column. That's it. So I'm building a condition for the country column. If customers equals null, then the country column will be the value of the ID column. That's great. Let's click OK. And here we have a new column called country with the countries of the customers. And this step was included here in the applied step window. We have this new step here included in the applied steps window. So Power BI is registering every step that we make, every transformation step that we make. Great. However, the country column it still have many new values. Of course, the idea of the user was to group these clients, these customers. So there are many new values here. Let's fix that. Let's come to transform, and any resemblance with Excel is not really a coincidence. Power BI in fact was born inside Excel. Many pieces of Power BI were born as Excel add-ins, and then they were put together to become Power BI. So I can select the country column, select the option fill, and fill down. That's it. I don't have no values anymore on the country column. So All the values were filled. But I have many rows with no values. These are the rows that means to be the country rows, the grouping for the country rows. I don't need these rows. Now I have a column with the country information. I don't need these rows. So I will remove all the rows with no values. Let's just filter here, remove no values. Okay, that's it. I don't have the rows with no values anymore. So this is very different than the original Excel spreadsheet that I showed to you. This is very different now and is way better. However, what if I need additional information? Sorry. What if I need additional information for this data? For example, I have the country name for each customer, but what if I need the continent name? I need to classify the sales of my company by continent, not only country. So I need to know in which continent each country is. Of course, if we look to the countries, we will know the continent of each country. But we can't fill these one by one. We need a way to know the continent for each country. This is exactly the kind of information that may be missing in a company data warehouse. Uh, the IT team may not care about this kind of information because there is already the country inside the information, inside the set of information. How do we solve this problem? We go to the web. We go to the web and we find a site where I can find the information about the country and the continent where the country is. So I have this site here with the relation between the country and the continent. But how will I use this site inside Power BI? That's the main idea of self-service BI. The business users of the company, they can get the data from anywhere. They can get the main company information from the data warehouse of the company, and they can get all the additional data from the web to help their analysis. That's what I will do now. I will use a new source and I will use a source from the web with this web address. Okay. And Power BI will make a web scraping. Yes, Power BI will make a web scraping on that site. And I'm showing only the basics because this web scraping is very, very powerful. This web scraping in Power BI is very powerful, but for this site, the basic is enough for me. It brings me the set of data that I need, so I'll get country codes. And I have a second table. This second table comes from the web. This second table called country codes. Let's call this table as continent. What do I need on this table? There are so many data on this table, like the population of the country, the area of the country, that could bring so many analysis possibility to this scenario. That's very interesting. But I don't need everything like this. I only need the country and the continent because what I'll show is the use of the continent. So I need only these two columns. So I use remove columns and remove all other columns. What this means, I will remove all the columns that are not selected, the columns that I have not selected. Remove other columns. Here it is. So I have the country and the continent on this table, and I have customers on the other table. Could we work using these two tables? We could work using these two tables, but that's not really a good solution. A good BI solution is denormalized, is part of the modeling needs of a good BI solution. So instead of keeping two tables, let's join these two tables together and bring the continent information to the customer's table. So I use the option Mesh Queries to join these two tables. Mesh Queries, I have the customers and they'll mesh with the continents. Which column I use to mesh? I use the country column to make a mesh. And it's advising here 91 matches. It means all 91 customers are present in the continent table. That's great. Okay. So it brings the continent table to each row in the customers table. But I don't want the entire table. I want one field from the continent table. So I need to click expand and I choose the field that I would like to include here. I would like to include the continent field. There is an additional checkbox here that will use the name of the table as a prefix, so it would be called continent.continent. I can uncheck that and the name of the column will be only continent. Continent. It became continent 1 because it's the same name of the table. And then, okay, but I can rename it. Yes, I can rename it. But the names of the continent are strange because they have only two letters. Yes, they have only two letters. It's an abbreviation of the name of the continent. How do I fix that to improve the analysis that we'll build later? How do I fix this? I can come to transform and use replace value over the continent column. So I can replace the values SA to South America. Replace values EU with Europe. Replace values NA North America. Let me check everything. Yeah, that's it. That's what we have now. Okay, and according I was creating this, making out this transformation, as I explained it before, every step that I did was recorded in this applied steps window. Why? Why is Power BI tracking us, recording every transformation step that we make? Simple. There are more than a single reason. First, I can control these steps. This means that I can get back to the beginning if I would like. I just click it on the first step, and they can see the evolution that each step brought to the data. How each step evolved the data in some way. So I can see these steps piece by piece. I can change these steps. I can get a step in the middle of the sequence and change it, drop it. I may need to make some adjustments, but I can change the transformation and change the sequence of steps. So it's a great way to edit an ETL. But this is not the only single reason. Why do I have all the steps recorded here? Why do I have all these steps? I have all these steps because Power BI will keep a link with the source of the data. Power BI will keep a link to the source. So the source in this case is an Excel spreadsheet and a web page. But Power BI will keep a link to the source. I'm seeing there are some questions on YouTube. I will take a look and get back to them at the end. So Power BI will keep a link to the source of the data. This means that we can later schedule an update of our analysis. Let's say that we can ask Power BI to every day at midnight to update the data of our analysis and it still show the results of the analysis. So Power BI will go after updated information, getting the data from the spreadsheet and from the web page again. So Power BI will get this data again. But how Power BI will transform the data? Power BI will need to repeat the steps. Exactly. We can schedule a refresh on our data. So the data that we have will not become static. It's not something that we are importing. We are not just importing the data. We are creating a flow of transformation of the data from the source to Power BI. And we can schedule this transformation, and Power BI will repeat these transformation steps according the schedule that we define. So the transformation steps will be repeated. Another important detail in relation to these transformations is that many people may think, okay, interesting, nice, but it's limited to the transformation that are available in the screen. And there are a lot of transformations in the screen, but it doesn't mind how many do I have here. It would still be limited to the transformation that I have on the screen, right? Wrong, wrong. It's not limited to what I have on the screen. Why it's not limited? Because I have here an advanced editor to show a secret to us. This advanced editor, what's the secret? The secret is that we have a complete language behind this. We have a complete language behind this ETL process. This language is called M language. M language. So we used M to make these transformations. Is a language a bit different than the usual programming language? The usual programming language works in a bit different way. The M language is a language based on expressions. Each line of code is an expression making a transformation over the data from the previous lines and setting a variable is the result of the transformation. And this variable is using on the following lines. So each line is a transformation step over the data. But the point is, if we don't find exactly what we need to do in the Y, we can just code it on the M language. There is a complete reference to the M language on the Microsoft website. You find a complete reference there. And after all these transformations that I made, we need only the table customers. We don't need the table continent. So I can right click the table continent and disable the load of the table continent. It means it will not be visible to the model when I will be working on the visualizations. So let's close and apply, and they'll be able to get this data to work with the visualizations. I'm not sure if I completely understand the question Krishna made on the YouTube. In case of huge records, I'm not sure what it means about. He means about huge records, but he's asking about web service. I'm not sure what web service could be used to make this reference between country and continent. I don't know one specific web service that could be used for that, but it could be used. Power BI could call web services, REST web services, or other kinds of web services to get information. And this could be done row by row. It would be a call that would be made row by row, or in other ways, depending on the service that you find. Uh, you could create a second table exactly as I did. Create a second table with all the data and then merge the tables exactly as I did with the continent. It could be done as well. So Power BI is capable to make this kind of call using Power Query. I just don't know exactly what web service would need to be called on this specific example. So we have here the customer information. We have the continent, country, customer ID, total. Okay. One interesting detail is the total was not completely identified as a numeric value. When the total is identified as a numeric value, we can make calculations with it. But I can fix that in the model. Here in the Power BI desktop, we can visualize the model and I fix this in the model. I can get the total and define that the data type for the total is a decimal number. Oh, sorry. It can't automatically convert total to a decimal number. Let me get back to Power Query. I know exactly what this is. I thought it was solved, but it's not. It's because there is one record here that's no more than one record here that has null as the total. And this null, we see this null on the left side. This means that it's being understand as a string. We need to replace this. We can use replace values. And just to be sure, on the data type, I force the total to be a decimal number. And let's get back. Closing the apply. Okay, now we see this symbol besides the total. This means the total is being recognized as a number. So let's create some visuals. According, select the fields. I'll be creating some visuals, for example, continents and total. Let's choose, he has a clustered column chart. I choose, after creating the visual, I can choose the kind of the visual, clustered column chart. So I have the total by continent. I have a very broad option to format the content, but I will not focus too much on the format of the content because we are running almost out of the time. We are running close to our time limit, and I have a lot to show yet. So we have here the continents: Europe, North America, and South America, and the total for each continent. I can also use country. Let's create a different visual. I can use country and total. Let's position this visual here at the side. And we see that I have a map with each country marked on the map. Let's create a third visual, another way to view the distribution of sales that I have. Another way to view the distribution of sales is to create a tree map. Let's use country, total, and make a tree map. So I can see the distribution of sales on this tree map. Let me reduce a bit because later I'll show more. I include more details at the top. So I can see the distribution of the sales on the tree map, which countries to which countries I made most of my sales or least of my sales. And one very important point is that these visuals, all these visuals, they are interactive. So if I select a continent, it highlights the information in the map and also highlight the information in the tree map, although the colors are not helping too much to show how it highlighted some of the European countries. The colors are not helping too much to show that. So I choose a continent and it highlights the countries of that continent. The other ones are easier to note, and now the colors for Europe are not helping too much to see how Europe is highlighted in relation to the other countries. But that's the point. The visuals, they are interactive. So I can interact with these visuals. One interesting point is the total, the way the total is being displayed on the tooltips. This is ugly, to say the minimum. And worse on some countries here. See the number of decimals. I can fix all this configuring the model in Power BI. So I can configure the model and here I can see the decimal number and select a uh, format for currents and the number of decimal places, 2 decimal places. Okay, so I define this on the model for the total. And once I define this on the model, it's applied for all my visuals. All my visuals will follow the definition of the model. Great. So, uh, here on the total by continent, let's add a new field, country. I want the new field in the total by continent. But I move this field to the same axis as the continent. I could put in multiple columns on each continent, but I don't want to. I move the country to the same axis as continent. So I have on the same axis the continent and country. What's the result of this? This results uh, in an effect that is called drill down. And I have some options here on the top of the visual that allow me to control the drill down process. I can control the drill down process. So, first, if I click one continent, I have the integration between the continent and the visual. So I don't have the drill down. So if I want to make the drill down happen, I need to enable the drill down, turn on the drill down. So I turn on the drill down. Okay, I turn the drill down on, and then I can click in a continent. Let's say I click Europe. See, uh, the size and formatting is not okay. I have plenty of methods to format this visual, of course, but I'm not focused on this at the moment. The point is, when I made that click inside in Europe, it made a drill down to Europe, and all the other visuals follow the drill down. All the other visuals are showing only Europe. They follow the drill down. And they can use the buttons here at the top of the visual to get back and make a drill up. And the drill down is still enabled, so I click North America, I'll be making the drill down to North America. And the same with South America, I make a drill down to South America, And that's it. The drill down is made to South America. That's it. Okay, so how I made the drill down, I included two fields in the axis, and this enabled the visual to make the drill down. That's great. Let's rename this page called main report, but now I will create a second report page that I'll call by country. On this second report page by country, I'll select country and total and ask to see a clustered column chart. Let's get most of the page. And it's interesting that I don't need this page to be visible. What I mean about being visible, I'm building a report that I'll publish to the Power BI service. I'll publish this report to the Power BI service, but I can simply hide this page. So only the main report will be visible in the Power BI service, not the second page. But why I built the second page in this case? This case, we have an option here called drill through. This is on the page configuration, drill through. And I can select fields to be used as drill through fields. I will select the continent. See, this second page is showing countries, the sales by countries, and I selected the continent as the drill through field. Let's get back to the main report. What's the result of this configuration? The result of this configuration is that here, when I hover my mouse over one block, one bar, it's advising me that there are drill through possibilities here. I right click, I see the drill through option, and the drill through option, when I right click the Europe, it's showing me by country. That's it. And I should have made this visual smaller because the drill through automatically includes this button for me to return to the main page. So I have the drill down option, it's one option, but I also have the drill through option. And the drill through option, in my opinion, is way more powerful than the drill down option, because while the drill down option is limited to one visual, what is available in one visual, the drill through option allows me to navigate across reporting page, going to details of the data. So on the main report page, I see the data by continent. And when I go using the drill through, I will navigate to another page that can show me the details by country. I included only one visual as a demonstration, but of course, this page can have many additional visuals. This page is not limited to a single visual. This page can have many additional visuals using the drill through feature, this drill through feature. So we are seeing how the visuals are powerful. We are close to our 60 minutes. Erica, how many more minutes can I have? Let me go a bit, continue a bit more before Erica asks me to stop. We have the tooltip here. Tooltip. And what's interesting is that we can customize this tooltip. We can make a tooltip customization. For example, I have the continents here. Here are the continents. And I have the tooltips option on the visual. So I can define what I would like to show on the tooltip of the continent. One good idea would be to show the countries on the tooltip of the continent, to show the countries. But if I get the field country and include the field country in the tooltips, it will not work very well. It will not work very well because Power BI will try to summarize the field country. And since country is a string, the way Power BI has to summarize it is to count, tell how many countries there are, or show the first country. But what if I would like to see a list of countries inside the continent as part of the tooltip? I would like to see a list of countries inside the continent. In some cases, we need to use some more advanced expressions. And in the modeling of Power BI, we can create measures, are called measures. So we create a measure and we can define this measure to get the information that we would like. Since we are close to the time, I'll go directly to the more complete expression. These measures use what is called DEX expression. This is another language. We saw M language used for ETL. And for measures and for the modeling, we use DEX. It's an expression language that can resemble a bit Excel expressions, but is more advanced. Take a look on this expression. I'm creating variables here. I'm creating variables on this expression. I'm creating variables to get the count of countries on the continent and make the count a list of these countries. Make a list of these countries and ensure that I will show only the top 3 countries on the list and according the total. Summarized by total and ordered by total desk. And after that, I check the count of countries. If there are more than 3 countries, then I include the expression and more. There are more than 3 countries on that continent. If not, I only show the list of the countries. So with this, I'm creating the measure that is called countries. Let me check the depending on the machine configuration, it can be a comma or so I need just to quickly fix this expression. Replacing with commas here. And that's it. So I have the measure countries, and I include the measure countries on the tooltips. The result, let's pass the mouse over the continents, and you can see on the tooltip Germany, Austria, France, and more, because there are more than 3 countries. North America, United States, Canada, and Mexico, only 3. There is no and more. This was defined by that DEX expression. And South America, Brazil, Venezuela, and Argentina. And the countries are in order according the country with the most sales and the country with the least sales, showing the top 3 countries for each continent on the tooltip. That's great. Uh, okay, let's create another page. Let's call this page tooltip. Before including anything on this page, I will change some page configuration. Page size, I'll change to tooltip. It appears to become a bit small. Okay. And page information, tooltip on. Then I choose country, total, column bar. That's it. Okay. And it's interesting, on the page configuration, what was the drill through before, the option that we had here for drill through becomes a tooltip option. So now I can include the continent as a tooltip option here. So this page called tooltip will be a tooltip for continents. Let me hide this page. Get back to the main report. And what do we have here? What will happen with the tooltip? I pass the mouse over the bar and I have a complete report page displayed as a tooltip of that bar, showing the countries from Europe or the countries from North America or the countries from South America. So I can create a complete report page and make this report page to become a tooltip of elements in the visuals of other report. This is very powerful. Of course, I'm not using the full power of this. I'm included only a single visual here. You could include many different visuals to include many different information that would fit in a tooltip over a single bar of the initial report. So with this, we completed the view of the drill through, the drill down, the drill through, and the tooltip. And we saw that we can use 2 different languages. For the modeling, we use DEX, while for the ETL, we use M for the ETL. That's great. Let me insert one other element here. On buttons, I insert a Q&A button. What this means? Insert a Q&A button? What this means? Without this that I already built with this information, what is missing is Power BI to answer our questions. If we ask something in English, Power BI to answer it. Well, let's see what happens. Total of
Hey,
sales.
sorry, Dennis. Apparently, before you didn't hear me answering, I was talking to you. Um, but yes, just to be time cautious. So, can
Okay,
yes,
okay, okay.
let's move on to Q&A. So,
Let's conclude and move to Q&A.
yes, thank you.
Total for South America. So we can see the total of sales for South America. So using the Q&A, we can make a question in English and receive the answer, the directly answer. And we can also build custom visuals that will be the answer for specific questions as well. But we are running short on time to show this demonstration. But I think and I hope even if you already work with Power BI that you saw something new today. Let me review the questions on the chat.
Okay, I think the first one came from Krishna.
Let me get back here. The first one was about webcasts that I already mentioned.
The first question was, in case of huge records, how to replace value for continent code? Is there any web service to give it in expansion form?
Um, yes, Power BI is completely capable to call web services, no problem. For this specific example, I don't know which web service would need to be called, but Power BI is completely capable to call web services. In fact, there is one session, I think is the last session of this series of events about advanced ETL with Power Query that I'll be delivering this session as well. And I'll go way deeper about what you can do with data transformation on the Power Query and using M language. I'll go way deeper about that. Um, there is not much difference of about in between getting the data from an Excel or getting the data from a SQL database. Of course, the configuration of the source is different, but there isn't many difference. Here you see SQL Server has a source and they could be able to do the same transformations and so on.
Okay, next question came
The
from
question from Olena
Olena.
About Python code. No, no, you can't. You can and you can't at the same time. Let me explain that. You have the ETL, the ingestion of data, and the ETL will be made using M language. The M language uh, is not compatible with Python this way. Although you could use some data lakes that were already transformed by Python, for example, you could use Databricks or so on as a source to Power BI. But the ETL would be made using M. But here on the visuals, you have visuals that could be created using Python or R, for example, and you have I think I saw a book about visuals created by Python recently. Uh, and you can create visuals using Python or R. But this is after the ETL process. The ETL was already made, and over the result of the ETL, you create some more details on dig more deep on Python code or R code and to make your visual. I think that's it. I think I saw all the questions. Have I missed
Yes.
anyone?
No, I think this is it. The rest is, yeah, answering to each other and, yeah, chatting. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Dennis. If
Thank you
anybody
very
has more
much.
questions, ask them now. Or in fact, you will have two more sessions to ask questions with Dennis, from Dennis in this upcoming, in this
And
series.
I'm
Yes.
just leaving my contacts on the screen as well if you would like
Yes.
to keep in touch and ask anything else. Oh, how to put
Uh,
these visuals in the web page. I'm not sure how about our limit on. We can just publish it to the service, publish it to Power BI. I would need to save. Um, then I publish it to Power BI. From the Power BI service, I can export to a web page. Then I have a feature of embedding this visual inside an application, and I could include in any kind of application, including a web page. So I'm publishing these visuals to the Power BI service. Not only the visuals, the model itself and the ETL. And there on the service, I could make the schedule of um offloading this data. For example, once a day, I could get a new version of these visuals. And he so we are seeing these visuals inside the Power BI service. And what I mentioned, we have one report visible, this report visible. Let's just wait to lower everything. It's a bit too slow. My machine is a bit too slow as well. But in a minute to lower, then have the entire interaction effect that we had in Power BI desktop. But that's it. From here, we can use email subscriptions, we can publish it to the web, chat on Teams, share inside the company, and many other ways. Here you see the interaction that I was meaning. We have one report page and the other report pages are hidden, but use it as tooltip and drill through from the first one. And we have the Q&A total for North America. And the language of the Q&A can be optimized. The business words can be optimized as well to understand better questions here. Okay, So it was a pleasure to deliver this session. Thank you for the invite, and we'll have two more sessions with me during this sequence. But for sure, it was to follow the entire sequence. I'm sure it's all great sessions on this sequence about Power BI.
Yes, thank you so much, Dennis, for joining us today. And yeah, for everybody who is still here, make sure to check out for the rest of the series. I'm going to be here every Wednesday for 11 more weeks at 5 p.m. CET on my local time. Next week, we are going to welcome Mark Wilcock, who is going to be talking about shaping data and visualization. I can never really pronounce that word. um, and then we have create reports and dashboards with Yara Abdelkarim in 2 weeks' time. And then the last session of this part of the series, of the beginning part, is data flows with Laura Graham Brown. So yes, I hope to see you all very soon, which means next Wednesday, and to have a very powerful autumn. And we will go from zero to hero by November 24th. Thank you so much. And yeah, when is the next session? It's next Wednesday, every Wednesday, 5 p.m. or yeah, wherever you are, whenever this session started for your local time. That's when we're meeting here. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye.